the ANC Limpopo elective conference will go ahead as planned from tomorrow. This is the word from the party's provincial leadership. ANC Limpopo Secretary Soviet Lekganyane says over 80% of the branches will be represented in the conference. Stan Matabata and Dr. Dixon Masemola are vying for the province's top job. We now cross live to our reporter Pelane Phakgadi. Pelane, very good afternoon to you. They are saying that everything is well underway for this conference to take place, but we know from what we've seen there is some room for other events that may happen during this conference. What are the latest developments on your end?
Well, there is still interaction among leadership of the African National Congress here in the province, in particular regard to the issue around the Waterberg region that really wants to sit for the regional executive committee and conference before the provincial conference gets underway tomorrow. So they want that particular conference to go ahead, and only yesterday was their disputes signed off officially, and then they do meet the threshold of 70% of the branches that are meant to be there to represent, of course, the branches around the Waterberg region, so that they can be able to reach some sort of a quorum. So where we are currently, we are at the Phakgadi Stadium, the new Phakgadi Stadium. I'm just going to ask Katlego to share around, of course, that the registration is continuing. Unlike in other regions and provinces, when we've seen that the registration was really quite delayed, but here, of course, it was delayed by an hour, 10 minutes. It was supposed to start around 9 o'clock, and it eventually started just around 10 past 10 this morning because of the delays about the talks around the Waterberg region. It is here. I've seen members of the Waterberg region also here in their numbers to ensure that they are also registered. So they don't want to miss out from the registration process themselves, but entirely. They also don't want to not sit as a region. So there are those deliberations which are currently underway. And I can judge here Donald Slamulala is the of course the spokesperson, current spokesperson. Should I say outgoing spokesperson? Out of the African National Congress PEC here in Gauteng. I do understand in Limpopo. Apologies about that. I do understand, Donald, that there's are nominations, and those nominations, some of them are saying you must become the treasurer of the province. Are you going to be putting your name forward?
Well, I don't know earlier in the conference if indeed there is that nomination. I'm hearing from you that there is such a nomination, but of course we'll deal with that when we get to the conference. You know, there are many people who have been touted for this or for that, but important for me is not about that. Important for me is the fact that we are here, we are in this peaceful registration point. You have seen what was happening all over the country. We have assured you in the press conference earlier on, we have assured the people of Limpopo, the people of South Africa, Africa and the world, that the ANC Limpopo is doing things differently. And part of doing those things differently is to ensure that we run an incident-free, progressive conference of the African National Congress, and that's what we're all about.
10 o'clock tomorrow, you're going to be starting conference.
Starting business, no dispute on credentials, no dispute on any other matter, no litigation, nothing but peaceful African National Congress conference in Limpopo, the 10th provincial conference, ushering in a term of the 10th leadership of the African National Congress in Limpopo.
Definitely, of course. That's Donald Slamulala, is a spokesperson, the outgoing spokesperson of the African National Congress here in Limpopo, of course. And he was just mentioning something that we've been able to talk about for a number of times about the disputes that we've been seeing at the credentials, and before it even begins at credentials, at the registration venue, because those who are registered will then inform credentials, and then there'll be dispute around the credentials that we'll eventually see. So here, currently, there seems to be peacefulness. I think the Bembe district is about to go in and get their accreditation text for tomorrow, and in that regard, then the media around 4 o'clock, we are told, will also be able to get their media text. About 470 media personnel have applied for this particular conference, to be part of this conference, because Limpopo, as far as the African National Congress is concerned, it remains the second largest ANC province, given the number of branches that we've been seeing. So they've managed for the last 4 years to grow their numbers exponentially, so to become number 2, and of course overtaking the likes of Mpumalanga, who was quite a decider at the 2017 national conference there in Newzroom. So Limpopo trying to be that influential province come this particular conference. So we do expect that later on there will be accreditation processes that continue. But as far as the Waterberg issue is concerned, whether they will be having that particular sitting as a region before the province, it remains to be seen. Then we'll get a statement from the PEC and as well as the REC of the African National Congress.
Very well. Pelane, Phakgadi, let's leave it there for now. Of course, as we get some information and detail around the start of the ANC Limpopo conference, some expectations there and the preparation process coming out of that province. Let's take